Shalom, l'école israélitienne, be Brasil, be Israel, e be Aherim Amin. Kan Assaf Benami, Crispin, Levi, asher medaber itichem, vera rasi o abolam indiani shelenu ledaber al Torah, hukim vemishpatim. Hadevarim asher yotzu mirabe Yahweh. Shalom to all Israelites in Brazil, in Israel, in other continents. And here, Assaf Benami, Crispin, Levi from Yishuv Israeli. And I would like to talk with you about the Torah, the eternal covenant. I would like to continue with this study. I was, a week ago, I was traveling, giving lectures about the Torah in São Paulo State, and now I'm returning. And I hope that the Eternal One opens your eyes for you to study the Torah. The Torah is not traditional teachings, is not philosophies. The Torah is our Dutch. It's my Dutch, it's your Dutch, it's our Dutch, because the Eternal One will charge from us if we followed the Torah or not. Religions are out of the Torah. Hack the Torah is the truth. Like David says in Psalms, Tehillim 119, verse 160. Well, let's go to the Torah. We're going now to the item 151. Examine the locusts to make sure they are permitted for consumption. We're speaking about clean animals fit for consumption and offerings. And I invite you to read with me in Vaikra, Leviticus, Vaikra, chapter 11, verses 20 to 23. Leviticus, Vaikra, chapter 11, verse 20 to 23. All flying insects that creep on all fours, it is an abomination to you. Only these you do eat of every flying insect that creeps on all fours, those which have jointed legs above their feet, with which to leap on the earth. These of them you do eat, the locust after its kind, and the destroying locust after its kind, and the cricket after its kind, and the grasshopper after its kind. But all other flying insects which have 4 feet is an abomination to you. Well, we can see here that the Eternal One puts in front of us the kind of insects we must eat. Although the Eternal One give us, firstly, the pure the pure meal, for example, the flesh or the stick of an owl or of a cow, and I think that it's a moment that we don't have what eating. For example, Eliyahu, a prophet, and Yohanan HaMatbir, because they were in the desert, they could not come to the city to buy the meat, the flesh of sheep, the flesh of cows, the flesh of chickens, and they were persecuted. And just Eliyahu and Yohanan HaMatbir ate the locust. Then the Eternal One doesn't prohibit us to eat these insects, but He gives us the quality. He gives us the kind of insects, of locust you must eat in case of emergency, when there weren't, or there aren't, the pure meal for us eating. For example, all flying insects that creep on all fours is an abomination to you. Only this you do eat of every flying insect that creeps on all fours. Those which have jointed legs above their feet, with which to leap on the earth. And this is one condition. And this of them you do eat, the locust after its kind, and the destroying locust after its kind, and the cricket after its kind, and the grasshopper after its kind. But all other flying insects which have 4 feet is an abomination to you. Okay, but let's see it in the oral law. Why oral law? Sometimes I questioned by many persons why oral law. And many religions think that the oral law is Talmud, the oral law is Al-Quran, oral law is the book of the law of Talion. It's not true, because the same Torah, the same laws, 613 commandments that were given to Moshe, they were given to Abraham, to Adam, to Noah, and to Yahusef, and to Job. And we can see here, I'm going to, before we're going there to see this item, and in Job, chapter 35, Job, chapter 35, Job, or Job. Job 35, (35) 10 to 12. And no one says, where is Eloah, my maker, who gives songs in the night, teaching us more than the beasts of the earth, and make us wiser than the birds of the heavens. There they cry, but he answers not because of the pride of evil ones. Okay, then he teaches us. They blow in the ears of them in the past before the written law. And it's important. It's important. It's important to notice that the Torah is our life, and we're going to see. We're going to see. We're going to see this item 151. 151. Bereshit, chapter 6, verse 21. Bereshit, chapter 6. Bereshit, chapter 6, verse 21. Of the birds after their kind, and of the cattle after their kind, and all creeping creatures of the earth after their kind, two of each are to come to you to keep them alive. Then the Eternal One ordered to Noah that kept these locusts, these animals, in the Ark of Covenant. We're going to see this item 151 in the Torah in times of Yahushua and his Talmudians. Masei Shilihim, Masei Shilihim, Masei Shilihim. Masei Shilihim. Acts. Masei Shilihim, Acts 3:4. And Kepha with Ohanan looking steadfast to him said, look at us. Masei Shilihim. Masei Shilihim 3:4. O Matitiahu 3:4. Matitiahu 3:4. And Johanan had a garment of camel's hair and a leather girdle around his waist, and his food was locust and white honey. And Johanan feed of locust and white honey. These locusts were accordingly the Torah. And Mark, or Yohanan Moshe 1:6. And Johanan was clothed with camel's hair and a leather girdle around his waist, and each locust and white honey. But Johanan, and Eliyahu, like I explained before, they were in situations, in bad situations, in the desert. And we can eat these insects, but when there aren't the purest, food, if you have the meat, if you have the chicken, why are you going to eat insects? Locusts, it's just a case of emergency. But let's go to the item 152. 152. Examine fish to make sure they are permitted for consumption. Vayikra 11:9-12. Vayikra 11. Vayikra 11, chapter 9-12. Vayikra chapter 11, verse 9-12. And when the dew fell on the camp at night, the manna fell on it. Okay, Vayikra 11. Vayikra 11. 9-12. This you do each of all that are in the waters. Anyone that has fins and scales in the waters, and in the seas or in the rivers, that you do eat. But all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, all that move in the waters, or any living creature which is in the waters, they are an abomination to you. They are an abomination to you. Of their flesh you do not eat, and their carcass you abominate. All that you have no fins or scales in the water is an abomination to you. Then the Eternal One show us the fishes that we must eat, and it must have fins or scales. If they don't have fins or scale in the water, is an abomination for us. And there are 7 classes of fishes that we can't eat. We must examine it, because the Torah asks us to examine it. Well, let's see in the oral law, this item 152. Bereshit 6. Bereshit 6:20-21. Bereshit 6:20-21. Of the birds of their kind, and of the cattle of their kind, and of the creeping creatures of the earth after their kind, 2 of each are to come to you, to keep them alive. As for you, take of all food that is eaten